Imagine a saint with such a tremendous impact that affects the entire culture. By his literary abilities, he inspired the literature of many dialects in Hindi. And by his scholasticism, he illumined the intellects of many spiritual seekers. And yet, his life was not just a bed of roses. God prepared him by placing him on the fire of purification. This is Goswami Tulsidas. Tulsidas ji's birth, the present consensus is that he was born in the year 1510 in a town called Rajapur, which lies somewhere between Prayagraj and Chitrakoot. His father was Atmaram Dubey, who was a priest and a scholar and the Mukhya, the head of the village. His mother was Hulasi Devi. For many years after marriage, they had no children. And Atmaram Dubey prayed to the Lord for this blessing. As a result of which, finally, Tulsidas came into this world. So a huge celebration was arranged by Atmaram Dubey. However, the midwife, the nurse, she came running after the delivery to Atmaram Dubey to inform him of the astonishing course of events. She explained that when she cut the umbilical cord, she heard a conch blowing. And any child cries upon birth, but this child did not cry. In fact, the child said, Ram, Ram, Ram. And when she looked into his mouth, he had teeth. And he seemed like a 2-year-old boy. So all this seemed so startling to her, she shared it with Tulsidas, his father. People advised Atmaram Dubey that this child could very well be a demon. Sometimes demons get born with astonishing symptoms, but they don't last. So just wait for 3 days and the truth will be clear. Atmaram Dubey took the advice, the celebrations were brought to a standstill. Now Tulsidas's mother was extremely worried. She was falling sick and realized that she did not have much time left. And she estimated that after her death, people would not let her child live. So she called her maid, whose name was Chunia Devi, and said, this is what is going to happen when I leave this world. You please take the child with yourself. Chunia Devi cooperated. She took the little baby and went to her own village Haripur, where her mother-in-law completely endorsed the good gesture of her daughter-in-law. And they took the little Tulsidas into their home. Here, the mother passed away and the child had disappeared. So Tulsidas spent 5 years growing up in the house of Chunia Devi in Haripur. But at the age of 5, a snake came and bit his foster mother Chunia Devi now. So the mother-in-law thought, oh my God, how can I raise this child? She took the child back to Atmaram Dubey in Rajapur and explained what had happened. Atmaram Dubey said the child who upon birth became the reason for his mother's death And 5 years later, his foster mother also died, is a very inauspicious omen. He's jumping to conclusions. Talk about false beliefs. Seems to be very accurate, right? One fact, second fact, we have full reason to believe. Distorted perception of reality. Nevertheless, Atmaram Dubey absolved all responsibility of the child. So he was brought back to Haripur, and there he was just left on the street. Nobody was willing to give this child shelter. Poor 5-year-old Tulsidas was roaming around on the streets, hungry. As they say that the person whom nobody takes care of, God is then the protector. Mother Parvati started coming incognito and feeding this little boy. So people realized he was not any longer wandering on the streets. Somebody was taking care of him and feeding him. This went on for 15 months. People then decided to find out what is going on. And pursuing Tulsidas, they came to this old lady, Mother Parvati, who used to come and feed, and accosted, "Who are you?" Parvati refused to confess her original identity, and from that point stopped coming. She was now disturbed. Who will take care of the little child? Seeing her concern, Bhagavan Shiv intervened. There was a sadhu living in Chitrakoot called Narharidas. Bhagavan Shiv came to him in his dream and said, "I need you to do a seva. There's a 6-year-old child in Haripur. He has to do an important work in this world. He will write the Ramayana. So please go take care of him, teach him grammar and the Ram Katha." Narharidas obviously obeyed the instructions of Bhagavan Shiv, and when he reached Haripur, he came to know about the whereabouts of the little child and what the town was speaking about him. Narharidas brought some food and fed Tulsidas. The little child started crying, because for many days he had not eaten food. Now Narharidas, on knowing that on his birth he had said Ram, 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 started calling him Ram Bola. That became the name of Tulsidas in his childhood, Ram Bola. Narharidas brought him to Ayodhya, and there when he would teach him grammar, Tulsidas would grasp it so easily. Narharidas was extremely impressed. He took him to an area called Sukar Kshetra, Varaha Kshetra. There they loved the scene so much that Guru and disciples stayed there for full 5 years. And in those 5 years, Narharidas, he kept on relating the Ram Katha to little Ram Bola. So Tulsidas grew up on that Katha. And then Narharidas took Ram Bola to Varanasi. There was a very elevated monk there called Sanatan. He was erudite in the scriptures, and he had many disciples and established ashram. Narharidas brought little Ram Bola. They started staying with Sanatan. And when the scriptural discourses would happen, Tulsidas would listen with rapt attention. Sanatan asked him, "What did you hear?" And Tulsidas would repeat it verbatim. Sanatan was impressed and felt that in him he saw the potential of someone who could be trained and groomed to be his successor. He definitely needed a successor to take care of his sprawling ashram. So Sanatan requested to Narharidas to hand over the little child. Narharidas had always wanted some opportunity for the little one to receive Shastriya education, and he gladly agreed. For the next 15 to 20 years, Tulsidas stayed with Sanatan. There he learned all the Upanishads, all the Vedic texts that were used later on. Hence, in his Ramcharitmanas, you find direct word-by-word translations of Upanishadic mantras. For example, the Shvetashvatar Upanishad states, "Apani pado javano grihita pashyatya chakshuhu sashrinotya karnaha savetti vedyam nacha tasyasti vetta tamaru agrayam purukham mahantam." And Tulsidas writes in the Ramcharitmanas, "Binu pad chalai sunai binu kana." That God is such. He can walk without feet, he can hear without ears. Kar binu karma karai vidhi nana, anana rahita sakal ras bhogi, binu vani vakta bad jogi. Tan binu parasa nayan binu dekha, grahi ghran binu vas asesha, asi sab bhanti alaukik karni, mahima jasu jai nahi varni. This is the alaukik, the astonishing works of the Supreme Divine Personality. So he became completely accomplished in Vedic knowledge. This was also the time when he wrote the Hanuman Chalisa. It is said a pret, a ghost, used to live in a tree. And to liberate the ghost from that yoni, from that state of existence, Tulsidas wrote the Hanuman Chalisa, which later on became so popular. However, one day Sanatan passed away, and that left Tulsidas completely heartbroken. What to do? Gurudev has gone. Tulsidas went to Chitrakoot to meet Narhari and found that Narharidas had also left the world. Tulsidas felt he was left without any shelter on the earth planet. He went to Rajapur to meet his father Atmaram Dubey and came to know that Atmaram Dubey had died, and also the entire family. Somebody explained that it seems they had been cursed because they had mistreated such a noble soul. Nevertheless, Tulsidas, he went to the banks of the Yamuna, which was nearby, and he started doing Ram Katha there. There was a Brahman who got extremely impressed by Tulsidas. He had a marriageable girl, and he saw in Tulsidas an eligible son-in-law. So when he proposed to Tulsidas, Tulsidas completely refused. However, when Tulsidas met this Brahman's daughter, Ratnavali, he became completely besotted. The marriage happened, and after marriage, they lived together in great mutual absorption for 5 years. Now, Tulsidas was so infatuated that he could not even imagine his life without Ratnavali. One day, Ratnavali had to go to her parents' house across the river. She left, and at night Tulsidas realized he really needed her. So he braved the rain, went out in that dark, stormy night until he reached the Yamuna. And there he found no boatman available to take him across. The story is very famous. He found a log floating. He grabbed the log and swam across the surging river. At the other side, he grounded the log, reached the house of Ratnavali. But he was so eager to meet her that he didn't even go and knock from the main door. He knew that she would be on the upper floor. And from the window he saw a rope hanging. So he grabbed the rope and climbed up. He jumped in through the window. Ratnavali was shocked. Tulsidas was expecting a rousing welcome as if Spider-Man has arrived. But Ratnavali had other ideas. Or maybe it was God who decided to speak through Ratnavali. She said, "My dear husband, how come you made it here on this dreary night?" Tulsidas said that love can make anything possible. She said, "How did you cross the river?" He said, "I got lucky. There was a log floating by. Look at it." When they saw it carefully, it was not a log, it was a dead corpse. Tulsidas, in his infatuation, had assumed it to be a log. So his wife was aghast. "You were not even conscious enough to realize that it was a dead body, and how did you climb up?" He said, "You were so kind and thoughtful, you had hung a rope from the window." She said, "I never did any such thing." And when they looked, a snake was slithering away. Now his wife scolded him. She said that you are so infatuated in love for this body that is made of pus, blood, stool, urine and mucus. If you had a fraction of this love for the lotus feet of Shri Ram, you would have achieved Bhagavad Prapti many times over. Now that scolding was exactly what Tulsidas needed. After 5 years of infatuation, it was a clarion call. All of a sudden a light went on in his head. He took it to heart. He turned around from there and said, "All right, then I will love Ram, not you." So he started walking off. The wife had just said it. It's not that she was detached from him. She sent her brother. But when the brother-in-law came running, Tulsidas refused to listen. He was not going to turn back again. For the next 15 years, he went around to various holy places in Bharat. There are mentions of him coming to Puri, to Badrikashram, to Kashi, of course, was his old place, and Ujjain and various other holy places. And finally, he settled down in Varanasi. Out there, he used to do the Ram Katha. In his morning ablutions, he would go with a pot of water, and the remaining water at the end he would pour onto a tree. A Pret ghost used to live on the tree. By receiving this water from the saintly Tulsidas over many days, got liberated from its state of existence and said, I would like to do something for you. Please ask for a boon. Tulsidas said, what boon can I ask for? You help me meet Shri Ram. The Pret said, that is not possible. It is not within my capacity. However, I can help you connect with the personality who will facilitate this. Tulsidas said, so be it. He said, unknown to you, Hanumanji comes in your katha in the form of a leaper. Observe carefully. That leaper is actually Hanuman. As the saying goes, that Hanumanji loves Ram so much that wherever the Ram Katha happens, he takes on some form incognito and comes to listen. Next day, Tulsidas, he observed the first person to arrive was the leaper. And when everybody left at the end of the katha, the leaper was going last. Tulsidas ran and caught his feet. The leaper said, leave me, but Tulsidas was not willing to leave him. And he said, I know who you are. I need you to do something for me. Finally, Hanumanji relented. He came into his original form, said, what do you want? Tulsidas said, what else can I want? I want you to give me Darshan of Shree Ram. Hanumanji said, do one thing. Go to Chitrakoot. There you will have the darshan. So Tulsidas ji now reached Chitrakoot. It is the place where Bhagavan Ram resided with Mother Sita and Lakshman during their Vanvas for somewhere around 12 and a half years. On the banks of the Mandakini river, by the side of a little hillock called Kamatgiri, was where they used to live. Tulsidas started residing there in that environment where there were many Ram devotees. And again, he used to do his Ram Katha. There was a little mandir where he started doing puja. He was a Brahman, of course. While he was doing his puja, the devotees were coming. Hanumanji came and informed him, you will soon have darshan of Ram and Lakshman. A little time passed by and two people came on horses. They had bows, arrows with them. They looked at him, smiled, walked by. Tulsidas did not realize God is sometimes a big trickster. So you would think that when he comes, he will come in his original divine form, say, ha ha ha, I recognize you. But he comes in such a way that only later on you realize. And that is what happened. Hanumanji came and said, did you have darshan? Tulsidas said, when? Hanumanji said, you missed it. He explained that those two horsemen were the ones. Tulsidas cursed his luck. He said, Hanumanji, how unfortunate of me. I could not even do pranam and see him with all my eyes. Give me one more chance. Hanumanji said, all right, we'll try again. Now one morning, Tulsidas had just done the puja in the temple and the devotees had lined up. They were coming, offering their pranam, and as is the custom, the priest puts a tilak. Tulsidas ji was putting a sandalwood paste tilak on the head of the lines of devotees. And Ram and Lakshman fell into the line. And they were also arriving. Now Hanumanji realized that Tulsidas may miss noticing once again. So, sitting on a tree, he said a verse that later on became very famous. चित्रकूट के घाट पर भई संतन की भीड़, तुलसीदास चंदन घिसे तिलक लेत रघुवीर. On the ghats, on the banks of Chitrakoot, the devotees have congregated. Tulsidas is grinding the sandalwood and Ram has come to receive the tilak. So Tulsidas heard that. Immediately he looked carefully and saw Ram and Lakshman. So now Ram's turn came to receive the tilak and Tulsidas just kept looking at him in awe and admiration. Ram took the tilak and put it on his head. So Ram and Lakshman blessed him and disappeared. Tulsidas felt gratified. Subsequent to that, he went around again to various holy places until he received the divine inspiration to write the Ram Katha. So he began it in Varanasi again. But when he would write it in the morning till evening and then go to sleep, the next morning he would find that it has disappeared, all that he wrote. This continued for many days until he wondered, why is this happening? And then Bhagavan Shiv came to him and he said, why are you writing in Sanskrit? Tulsidas said, because everybody writes the scriptures in Sanskrit. Shivji said, then how will the masses understand? Now, many people, they believe that Tulsidas was the incarnation of Valmiki himself. In the Bhavishya Purana, there is a mention where Shivji explains to Parvati that Valmiki returns again in Kali Yuga to write the Ramayana in the local dialect for the benefit of the masses. So although the Ramayana that Valmiki wrote revealed the divine pastimes of Bhagavan Ram and provided the means for bhakti for so many ages, yet it slowly became the monopoly of the Pandits because they knew Sanskrit. And to access the Ramayana, people would have to go via the Pandits. So Tulsidas decided to write it in the local dialect. He used out there Awadhi, a little bit of Bhojpuri, little Khadi Boli, etc. to write it in a common dialect. He now went to Ayodhya. And that is where he began on the day of Ram Navami. And after 2.5 years, he completed the Ramcharitmanas on the day of the Ram Sita Vivaah. So when he completed it, it is said the various Devi Devtas came to applaud him. Shankarji as well came to bless him. Ganeshji was so impressed that he made a copy for himself and took it with him. Now his Hindi Ramayana agitated the scholars of the time, and they tried various schemes to destroy it. where it is said that they arranged for some thieves to go at night and to steal it. And those thieves, when they would come, they would find that two soldiers with bow and arrow would always be there standing and guarding. And people believed that Ram and Lakshman had themselves come to guard it. So, a lot of opposition also happened. But, as the saying goes in English, that nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. Now, Tulsidas ji took this Ramcharitmanas to Kashi. And there it is said that the scholars in Kashi were skeptical of it. But it was tested out. It was placed before Kashi Vishwanath with another bunch of books. Through the night and in the morning, they discovered that the Ramcharitmanas was on top of the pile. In that Ramcharitmanas, he has filled, of course, the devotional element. So while Valmiki, he went about presenting Ram as the ideal Purush, the ideal human being, and did not highlight his divine godly aspect much. Tulsidas ji did not hide it in any way, but emphasized it. Vyapaka Brahma Niranjana Nirguna Vigata Vinoda So Aja Prema Bhagati Basa Kaushalya Ke God, says that Lord who is all pervading, who is without a form, who is indescribable, who has no material attributes, enslaved by the love of Kaushalya, is residing in her lap. Interestingly, Tulsidas ji, he also became instrumental in some social reforms at that time. A divide had been created between the Shaivas and the Vaishnavas, to the extent that they believed that they were worshipping different gods. And a lot of acrimony used to develop. Tulsidas ji resolved it so beautifully by highlighting the position of Bhagavan Shiv in his Ramcharitmanas. In fact, he relates the whole Ramcharitmanas through the mouth of Bhagavan Shiv to Parvati, so that no doubt remains in the mind of any Vaishnav. And Bhagavan Ram says, Shankar Priya Mama Drohi, Shiv Drohi Mama Das, So Nara Karahi Kalap Bhari Ghora Narak Mahavas. Those people who differentiate between Ram and Shiv, who say, I am a devotee of Ram but keep negativity towards Shiv. Or those who say, I am a devotee of Shiv but they denigrate devotion to Ram, they shall reside in hell, is a statement that Ram is making. So the saints, like I said, they bring about a complete social reform. This was not the only major work of his. He also wrote Janaki Mangal. He wrote Parvati Mangal. He wrote the Vinay Patrika, in which he is beseeching Ram for bhakti with the utmost humbleness. And he created a full treasure chest of divine works, providing people to come with a means for engaging in devotion. A couple of years after that, he completed his works in the world and left his material body to go and enter the divine pastimes of Shri Ram. Siyavar Ramchandra ki, Goswami Tulsidas ki.